a lot of the things you talked about, like have a team, have a CPA, it all seems like, buy the building, it costs a lot of money. And there are
Hmm.
a bunch of, athletes we talk about, a lot of them, maybe they played in the past, like it just, for whatever reason, they were doing the same work, but they weren't getting paid as much. So, like, are there ways to get into franchising without spending a lot of money?
So by default, franchise, and most of them are between, especially now with inflation and the way that the times, right, and where everybody was trying to get into getting businesses. It's like at least minimum $30,000 is an entry fee, franchise fee. But this is why I said don't do stuff by yourself, because it's just not. It's riskier when you're doing that, because if you go into buying a location and the location is 50,000, like if you got to pay a franchise fee of $40,000, okay, then they're not even thinking about the other fees, because even though you're paying the franchise fee, sometimes you have to put well, not sometimes, but majority of the time, if you're leasing the space, you have to put down the deposit for the space. Then you have to, if you're getting an SBA loan, strongly encourage, do not use your own money to do anything, like ever. Don't pay cash. And so that is a mistake that we made, because we're always taught, right? Oh, you don't want to use credit. You want to use your money, spend the cash you'll have a debt-free store. We had a debt-free store, but then we ended up pouring money into our store because we underestimated, us being young, right? Underestimated how much it would cost us in the initial 3 to 6 months, because people forget about that operation and they're like, oh, I'll be fine, right? Once I do the build out. But spending $275,000 on build out, then you're adding in the operation costs. This is why I say do the initial steps, right? And like some things are non-negotiables, right? With my clients, you have to have an attorney. That's full stop. So for me, I serve as the attorney for my clients. And I say that to protect yourself. If you are in a partnership, have a partnership agreement, full stop. Like that is a non-negotiable. I know it's like, oh, no, I can trust this person. Absolutely not. My husband and I have been business partners, and we have a partnership. We have an operating agreement, how we operate business. We have a partnership agreement, our partnership. We talk about every single thing that is going to happen. We equally have input on it, because at the end of the day, we want to be successful. I also say, if you're going in with a group situation, I think the misconception of like, man, I can do this by myself, right? And in theory, you can, but do you want to put yourself in a financial situation that ultimately backfires on you later, right? And so if you have the opportunity to get two or three of your teammates together to put down the franchise fees, right, and open a location together and create that group, that's that's risk averse. And so I strongly, encourage, like, hey, get connected with the local credit union, right? Because the local credit unions are more likely to give you a business loan, than the bigger banks. Tap into your resources while you're playing. That is the biggest thing. If you have the opportunity to tap in while you're still active, it's critical, because you get way more when you're an active player versus when you're retired. Because in people's mind, they're trusting the NFL salary, right? They're trusting the backing of the NFL representation. And so I would say definitely tap into the resources that the NFL has. If they have a program, tap into it, like apply for the grants, apply for the different avenues, go to the programs that they have available that they're paying for you, because then you meet financial people that will be able to give you money. And you can also meet like-minded players who are going to say, oh, well, I'm already invested in this. You want to come in? And the entry point, for example, for us, we were giving an entry point to another player who was like, I have $10,000 or $5,000 to invest. I can't invest the full $40,000, but what can I get out of this percentage if you buy these other locations? What does that look like for me? Well, then now that person has a percentage interest in the business. And even though they couldn't go in and buy their own location, now technically they're an owner. And so that's like a way. And I think a lot of times players miss out on that because they forget about their team. They forget about their teammates. and they don't want to rely on their teammates. But the reality is, every other major sport, if you look at their former players, they always link up. Whether it's NBA, MLB is notorious for this. They get together and they create these initiatives and buy stuff all the time.